Hi, we all know the Islamic State plans to dominate the world. They even released a map showing the countries they plan to seize by the year 2020. The map includes Spain, China, and parts of North Africa. But perhaps, in your opinion, ISIS is just an extremist group which doesn't accurately represent true Islamic teachings. Well, to determine if that is true or not, we first need to go to the Islamic sources. When we do that, we notice that ISIS is indeed truly Islamic. The Quran states in no uncertain terms that Islam is meant to dominate over all religions. The Quran, chapter 9, verse 33 says, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. I would like to draw your attention to the Arabic word يظهر. It comes from the Arabic root ظهر, which means, among many things, to become apparent, manifest, or evident, to overcome, to conquer, subdue, or to prevail, etc. It can also be translated as triumph or victorious, but as you can see, it's usually translated as prevail. So the Quran is clearly stating that Islam is to dominate all other religions. But before we rush to any conclusion, it's important to look at the context of this verse to find out how Islam plans to become the most dominant religion in the world. Just a few verses earlier, in verse 29, we read,
قاتلوا الذين لا يؤمنون بالله ولا باليوم الآخر ولا يحرمون ما حرم الله ورسوله
ولا يدينون دين الحق من الذين أوتوا الكتاب حتى يعطوا الجزية عن يد وهم صاغرون. You see here in the beginning of this verse the verb قتل. It's an imperative verb or a command. Its basic meaning indicates fighting, combating, battling, killing, or slaughtering. In this verse, Muslims are commanded to fight against Jews and Christians until they are subdued and submit themselves to paying the jizya tax for being a non-Muslim minority under Islamic rule. Now, the more moderate Muslims, of course, will claim that this only refers to specific Jews and Christians who were historically at war with the Muslims. However, I say that's wrong, and the Quran itself refutes that idea. Let's look at the verse again. The Quran is talking about the Jews and Christians who, quote, لا يدينون دين الحق, which means who do not acknowledge or follow the religion of truth, meaning Islam. Therefore, this refers to all Jews and Christians. Notice the word yadinun. Looking at the root of this verb, we see it signifies obedience, a state of abasement or submissiveness. Now, this is why Jews and Christians should be very concerned. You don't have to be hostile or aggressive towards Islam to be considered a primary target for Islamic domination. As a Jew or Christian, you are already a target because you do not accept or follow Islam. So there is no doubt Islam sees itself at war with Jews and Christians. In fact, the following verse also proves the nature of Islam's conflict with Jews and Christians is not only a military one, but is also a religious or spiritual one. Quran chapter 9 verse 30 says, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ عُزَيْرُ بْنُ اللَّهِ وَقَالَتِ النَّصَارَى المسيح ابن الله ذلك قولهم بأفواههم يضاهئون قول الذين كفروا من قبل قاتلهم الله أنى يؤفكون. And if you continue reading, you'll see in verses 31 to 34 the Quran continues attacking the beliefs and actions of the Jews and Christians. Now, this isn't the only chapter of the Quran which reveals Islam's goal of dominating all other religions. The exact same verse is also found in Quran chapter 61 verse 9. The context here is again similar. Between verses 4 and 11 we see reference to fighting and a negative reference to the peoples of Moses and Jesus. When reading these verses, you get the impression that Muhammad saw himself as criticizing and correcting the earlier religions of Judaism and Christianity, and that Islam will eventually rise above them and over the whole world. And finally, with a slightly different wording, the same verse is found again in chapter 48, verse 28. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى والدين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. Notice just before that, in the last line of verse 27, it says, فجعل من دون ذلك فتحا قريبا. The context here is yet another attack against the Jews and Judaism because, as you can see from the tafsir or exegesis, the words a near victory refers to Muhammad's victory over the Jews of Khaybar. In ending this video, I think we can all agree the Quran reveals a negative and harsh outlook towards Judaism and Christianity. Warfare, subjugation, and taxation against Jews and Christians are all part of Islam's master plan to become the world's most superior religion. There are, of course, other methods for domination, and perhaps I can discuss that in another video. Since most Jewish rabbis show no interest in converting Muslims to Judaism, and since Christianity is declining in Europe, and with the rapid growth and aggressive spreading of Islam, the threat of an Islamic takeover is real, at least in some parts of the world. But we can stop that, and the first step is to educate ourselves about Islam. On that note, I hope this video has been educational for you. Thank you for watching. God bless you.